All right. So what I chose to work on is a mobile app that takes a picture and converts it to a vector image. So if you guys aren't familiar with vector images, you can zoom in on them indefinitely and they don't get pixelated. Ben knows all about them. They're really popular with designers. And the problem that I'm solving, I didn't come up with this idea on my own, actually. Ben, our campus director, overheard me deliberating for like 2 hours on Wednesday last week about what I should do. I apologize if I distracted any of you guys with deliberating out loud. And he said he had hoped for many stackathons that someone would build an app like this. I didn't really understand why, but when I said it out loud, this Ben seemed really excited about it. Sorry, I'm supposed to be in front of the podium. And so the problem that I'm solving is if like you're a designer, you're out in the real world, and you see something like a logo, for instance, or a geometric shape, maybe architecture, something that you want to use later, and you want to convert that to a vector immediately, my camera will be able to do that. I didn't quite get done with it, so I had to build two things. I had to build a server that would take in a regular camera image, convert it to a vector. There's a couple filters that I ran on it as well, and then send back a vector image. I got through the server, and then the client was going, well, it is kind of a non-functioning mobile app that takes a picture. I didn't quite get to sending the image. I was kind of stuck on sending a JPEG file, but it's either going to send a JPEG file directly to the server that's running or upload it to Imager or Google Drive or something like that so that the server can then grab that JPEG from there. So I had to learn React Native, some of it. I don't know if you guys have ever used Expo, but Expo is pretty good for working with React Native. It gives you some extra libraries and makes setup super easy. So I had to work with that. I also had to plug into like half a dozen different APIs on my server side, which is complete, which that kind of goes into what I learned during this, that like I kind of did what Ben told us not to do at the beginning of Grace Shopper, where I was like, hey, this is really easy. I can plug into this API and just use this in my Express server. It doesn't quite work like that, at least not for me. It's still a brand new piece of software. Yes, it plugs into my Express server. It's essentially middleware. But there's still syntax I have to learn. You know, it's a much more in-depth process than just, hey, I can do this. This is like a 15-minute job. So I will show you guys, well, I can't really show this, but I have a camera running on my phone. And I have three things running. I guess I had to learn this ngrok thing too, which Ben had used for us before. I have three things running right now on my machine here. One is ngrok, which essentially gives you a secure tunnel to a local host server that's running, so I don't have to like expose my computer to the internet at large, but I can still connect to it with my phone. This is my Expo app that's running. It builds the app for me. Then I can scan the QR code so I don't have to like publish the app. This is for development environment. And then here is my Express server, which you can see is listening on port 8080. Let me comment out this console log really quick. So I'll take a picture. And you can see I get an unhandled promise rejection warning, et cetera. So I know that, you know, my camera is actually making a request to my server, which is like a good step. And that's and I get errors on my app as well. So like I said, I didn't quite get done with the app itself. But the server actually works, and I can show you guys that just with a Postman request. Let me restart it really quick. And if you can see, actually, let me just double check that I didn't change. Yeah, OK. Well, this was kind of fun too, I guess, if I'm talking about what I learned, because I have all these, smaller functions that I threw into different files. One of them can convert and resize a file. One of them downloads from a URL to my local file system. One applies this high-pass filter, which it like balances out the white and black, because I'll show you guys a vector image in a second. It's all black and white. It's not in color. And then the other converts to SVG, which is a vector file. So all of these things are happening here. And this was a fun exercise for me because I really got to practice functional programming that makes this like way more readable than writing all of those within my API route. So I am if you can't see this, I'm just sending a URL of, oh, it's a beagle. I guess I changed the URL. Oh, wait, hang on one sec. I'm going to make that request again, because the last thing that happens in my API route is it actually deletes all of the files that I create in these intermediate steps after I send back the SVG file. So this is the file, oh, that opened up over here, that it downloaded. There's a picture of a beagle. And this one's probably not going to turn out that well. I probably should have had a different URL in here, because it doesn't work super well with photos. It works best with like whiteboard drawings and stuff like that. And it made it into this vector image that I can, like I said, I can keep zooming, and it never gets pixelated. It only looks pixelated because of the projector quality. So that image gets sent back, and that's what my app does. So obviously, if I had more time to work on this, I would finish the mobile part of it to take the picture, make the request. I would hopefully figure out how to do color at some point, and maybe add some more options and spiff up the UI on the mobile app. But that's Vectorcam is what I was calling it, very descriptive. So.